Two, I wanted to start with the presentation of Client X's baseline cybersecurity risk assessment by looking at the Identify update. Today, my goal is to establish a baseline of where we are now in the Identify update phase, and also to provide a roadmap of how we are going to go from where we are now to what we would call end state. To guide this discussion, we are going to be using the NIST cybersecurity framework, which was created by the National Institute Standards of Technology. Now, the framework has 5 main functions. Besides the govern function in the middle here, which is what the board is also participating in, the main process is to identify, protect, detect, recover, and respond from cyber incidents. Now, the board has already budgeted a spend for protect and detect. But before we can spend building protection elements or ways to detect cyber events, it's really, really important that we understand what we're protecting, where it exists in our network, and who might be targeting it. And that's why we're spending a lot of energy right now on the identify stage. We have to pinpoint where the assets sit, what kind of technical data we have, how sensitive is it, and who might want it. Where does it live on the network, and how vulnerable is it really? Why did we choose NIST? Well, it's important to understand that 70% of companies, including our competitors, are using NIST. It is the gold standard. It is widely considered the gold standard because it's risk-based, it's scalable and adaptable, and number 3, it has got global written all over it. It is used around the globe, and as we continue to grow our business, it will allow us to look like we're in the big leagues because we are using what is considered used by our government as well as our competitors. But as you look through sort of what does it mean for us today, it will help manage regulatory exposure. What I mean by that is when we're examined by a regulator, they will be looking at a number of things, including how we manage risk and how we manage data. They will expect to see and like to see that we have NIST. Number 2, as we're related to technical jargon, NIST will allow us to translate very technical speak into business speak, meaning we will now be able to assess cyber risk the same way we assess operational risk and financial risk. Finally, and these two are sort of related, it'll improve stakeholder confidence because they will be understanding that we are using the gold standard to protect data. And as for the board's perspective, it will help give you peace of mind that your fiduciary duty is being fulfilled as it relates to maintaining your watchdog responsibilities over this data. So what did we do in the identify phase? Well, 3 things. In the asset management element of this, we inventoried all the physical assets that we had. We also counted up, and when I say count, we're not counting, but we're inventorying software platforms and software computer systems that we're using, and we're mapping the data that flows through it. From a risk assessment phase, we are identifying and quantifying and prioritizing the internal and external cybersecurity threats based off of their impact to business units. And then in the improvement process phase, we have a continuous loop looking for lessons learned. Like if something happened and there's an incident, well, what did we learn from it? And how can we make certain that we improve whatever part of our business that happened in so we can make certain it doesn't happen again? So where are we today in our score? How did we score ourselves after the first round? Well, you can look on the right here and you'll see the spider web. This is a very detailed picture of the NIST categories for the identify phase. I am not going to go through all those little codes there, but each of those little bullets is a very detailed subset of these 3 buckets on the left, and that's where we're going to be focusing at. Asset management, we're only 1 out of 4. Risk management, we're 1 out of 4. And improvement, we're 0.5 out of 4. But we should not be super concerned or alarmed. We are a startup, and this is the early innings of where we are as a company. And we do have a game plan to go from where we are, which is reactive, to where we're going to be at the end state, which is proactive. So our target in 6 months is to get to tier 2, which is 2.5. And I'm actually going to go to the next slide because I think it shows a little bit better. Tier 1 is where we are now. We are in what is called partial ad hoc stage. Our goal is to get to tier 2, which is a risk-informed plan stage, which, go back a slide here, is a score of 2.5. At the 12-month mark, our plan is to go to tier 3, or be at tier 3, which is a formalized stage of score of 3. And then finally, when we hit our end state, we'll be at tier 4, which is a adaptive proactive stage. I'm not going to go through all the bullets on the slide at this point because we're going to cover them in the next slides. So phase 2, this is from where we are right now for the next 6 months. Here's what we're going to be doing. Number 1, in the asset management bucket, we are going to be continuing inventorying the systems and computers that we have, and also classifying the data that we create and that we possess. Is it private? Is it confidential? Is it sensitive? Is it public? And then from there, identifying the critical processes that we have. Then in the risk assessment phase, we'll be using what we learned in the asset management piece to create a risk register, and also conducting an initial business assessment, impact assessment for each department. Meaning, if a department who's using the data that we classified loses access to a server, what would happen, or how long could it be out of commission before it starts to impact our clients? That's what an initial business impact assessment is. Then finally, I keep going backwards, we're going to move into the improvement, which is implementing training for our employees and creating lessons learned progress. At that point, we should be at a 2.5 score. Then phase 3, we can continue this. We're going to be in a centralized tracking environment for asset management, enterprising rolling out patches and software, and we're going to be moving to a vendor supply chain oversight. Same thing in the risk management. We're going to be having a formal vendor due diligence process, also doing vulnerability checks, which is penetration tests of our network. Our improvement process will continue to have more formal lessons learned. In this case, we will be adopting after action reports. I will be asking the board for more resources at this point because we will now need to be bringing in external consultants and things of this nature. Finally, as we move to phase 4, we'll be at real-time asset discovery. We'll be using automated systems to classify our data, and we'll be having continuous supply chain monitoring. This takes technology and it does take resources, which is why I asked for, in the last piece, I'll be asking for budget increase. We'll be using in the risk assessment real-time threat intelligence and doing continuous vulnerability management penetration testing. And finally, from an improvement process perspective, we'll be using AI to do predictive analysis, to do active defenses. This is a mature, full-fledged identification stage, and this is where we need to be within 2 years. So where we are today is we are reactive. We are at stage 1, which is normal for a startup. We have a realistic plan to go from where we are through stages 2, 3, and ultimately to 4 that will require funding when we get to stage 3 and 4. I share this with you today to let you know that we understand how serious data is for protection, to make certain that you know that management is taking the plan very disciplined. We have oops, I got to go back. We have demonstrated that we've got a phased-in measurable roadmap, and that from the fiduciary alignment, we are aligned with the board to make certain that every policy that we adopt going forward is designed to protect data. And at this point, I will stop and take questions. Hearing none, I hope you guys have a great rest of your meeting. Thank you.